Welcome to Truth for Our Time with your host, Tamara Scott.
And good day. Thank you so much for joining us. It is Wednesday here where we're actually doing the show live on webcast1live.com, webcast1live.com. If you ever want to join us, we'd love to have you pop in at 10 a.m. Central Time. Folks from around the world actually joining us. And if you want to hear the show online or on air, for those of you who are driving home from church on Sunday, or maybe you are of that age where you can't get out to go to church anymore, well, we can give you great information and help you understand and hear things that are happening in your world. Our goal is to help you when the headlines hit home. And so we can give you information that way. If you ever want an archive of the show, you can go to our website, tamarascott.com. We give a little description of each show and information for you, as well as some links, usually to the things that we talked about on the show. And then if you want, you can go to YouTube as well, Tamara Scott Live channel. Not doing this, making great money. We're doing this because there's great need. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of people talking, but very few are telling the truth, the truthful information that you need and that can help you in making decisions. Here's the deal. If God expects you to live through it, He's directed you how to do it, somewhere in His Word, with principles, somewhere in the teachings. And so I'm very thankful today for the opportunity to bring the guests we have for you. First will be joining me is Colleen Holcomb. She's with RNC for Life. The Republican National Committee does have a life element. You can get mad and you can talk about both parties and be aggravated with all of them, but one party is still pursuing life. I can't tell you everyone in that party is on board, that we don't have some candidates from time to time who are not right where they should be, but there is an element there trying to hold to the platform and protect life in the Senate and the House as well. Second guest is Dr. Alveda King. If you remember last week, she was planning to join us and got caught up in another interview and could not get away. And so she called me immediately after the show and said, let's go next week. So she should be joining us in the 10:15 past the hour. And then the third guest, Dr. David Prentice. I heard him speak in D.C. earlier this year. There's a lot of research going on. We're going to be talking today about Planned Parenthood's videos, and we won't be just grossing you out. We'll be talking about the real issues here and the real solutions. And he'll be talking about research that's happening that doesn't force us to end life. God-honoring research with productive results. So first we're going to go to our phone. We have Colleen on the line. Colleen Holcomb is with RNC for Life. Colleen, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate the work that you're doing. And if I could, Ryan, let's just actually go to that clip with Rand Paul. Because, Colleen, I'm going to be asking you some questions about what Rand Paul, Senator Paul, tried to do last Sunday and what happened there. So let's just go, Ryan, if we have that clip, can we go ahead and play that?
Human about life, and just to casually over whine and breed to say, oh, well, we manipulate the baby around so we can get the body parts out first, and then we crush the head at the end instead of at the beginning. I think even pro-choice people are horrified by this.
Okay, so there's that part right there, Colleen. I think he's absolutely correct. I have seen pro-choice folks distancing themselves from Planned Parenthood on this issue. And of course, now Nancy Pelosi, I believe, is saying that this just simply is falsified. But Cicely Richards, in the very beginning, did not deny it. She distanced herself from the staffer in the first video, talking about there wasn't enough compassion. I don't think compassion is simply the issue here, Colleen. What's the issue?
No, you're exactly right. The issue is, are we going to protect human dignity or are we not? And as you mentioned, Tamara, I'm with RNC Life, and of course we work through the Republican Party, as you mentioned. They're not perfect, and we've seen even over the past weekend, we really need to strengthen their spines. But one of the reasons that we do the work that we do is because the Republican Party has been historically the party that was actually founded when it redefined itself in 1856 through the first platform of what we now recognize as the Republican Party. It defined itself as being against what it called then the twin relics of barbarism, slavery and polygamy. So from the beginning, the Republican Party has at least been founded on the principles of defending human dignity and defending the family. And that's what we need to keep strengthening the spines of our elected legislators to do. It's not enough to say that you're pro-life or to say that you support defunding Planned Parenthood. Sometimes you really have to take on those tough fights and disappoint Harry Reid a little bit sometimes. But that's what we as the grassroots need to keep fighting for.
Okay, so Ryan, let's go to the second part of that clip. And that clip is from a Fox interview, and we have permission from Senator Paul's office to play the whole clip if we wish, but we're just going to play another portion of that clip.
This is gruesome, and I think most Americans, even those who think they're pro-choice, would be aghast to know that we're selling body parts.
Let me ask you also about the Planned Parenthood videos. After they were released, you offered an amendment to the highway funding bill to defund Planned Parenthood.
This means that I'm going to try to force a vote on this. I'm going to do everything I can to stop it.
Okay, so, Colleen, he tried to force a vote last Sunday and was shut down.
That's right.
And not shut down by Democrats, shut down by Republicans.
That's exactly right. I know. And as I know you know very well, that's one of the most frustrating aspects that we, I think, as Americans have to deal with it. So often it's not even fighting the enemy, it's infighting within the party. That's the most disheartening.
What was the justification for not allowing the vote or voting it down?
You know, I don't know that there was any justification. I know that Leader McConnell, and I do know that he is pro-life. He's indicated that there would be more appropriate venues in which to, or maybe a more appropriate time to bring up the bill. He's indicated, I know it's just been introduced again today, and he's indicated that he's tasked, I know your Senator Ernst, and several other pro-life leaders in the Senate with getting a bill through, and has promised that there will be a vote on it before the August recess. But as I mentioned earlier, I think we need the grassroots to be involved to make sure that this happens, that it doesn't keep getting pushed to the side, because we need to have that marker to show. Even, we know that the Democrats will vote against it. We know that it might not succeed. But we need this opportunity to keep exposing what Planned Parenthood is really doing and where our federal tax dollars are really going. And that's the only way we can hold our leaders accountable.
And so if folks want to find out what the legislation says, do you have that link available?
I do. Let's see. There are several. I would direct you to our Eagle Forum website. It's www.eagleforum.org.
And for our listeners and our viewers, Eagle Forum, started by Phyllis Schlafly, one of the best organizations out there. And I work with pro-family, pro-life organizations, but that's the beauty of being in the Christian segment, is usually we can admit and work together and complete each other, not compete with each other. And Eagle Forum just does excellent work, and I'm glad that they have such a great connection with RNC for Life.
Oh, thank you, Tamara. I agree. It's such an honor. And of course, I'm afraid to list organizations because there are so many great ones. I know Dr. King and Dr. Prentice will probably both have some really great resources. Susan B. Anthony List is another one. If you just Google Susan B. Anthony List, of course, the National Right to Life Family Research Council is another one that has some excellent resources and commentary. But I do know that Eagle Forum is posting updates about the bill specifically. Oh, also Students for Life, and they're also doing some really powerful demonstrations to point out the hypocrisy of, we heard so much about the rhetoric, the war against women rhetoric, and they're doing demonstrations to show how Planned Parenthood is actually betraying women. So lots of great organizations and resources, and we're thrilled to work with all of them.
And, of course, on our Facebook page, Truth for Our Time, I'm putting these links. My computer seems to be extra slow today. I don't know if it's waterlogged from all the rain we got last night, 7 inches in my area. But I will be putting these links on the Facebook page, Truth for Our Time, throughout the day as I can get to it. And so we'll have the link. And you're right, Susan B. Anthony has a great press release on this with some fact sheets on what Planned Parenthood does and doesn't do. And adoption is not part of it. It's less than, I think, 0.5. I think it's 0.5% of what they do and their profits. So let's come back. The legislation, Senator Rand Paul is going to try it again. And we've, as you said, Joni Ernst has been honored by Susan B. Anthony as being pro-life, and I'm going to believe that she's going to work with him to help. And so what can folks doing out there listening, what can they be doing? Can they be calling their senators?
Absolutely. I worked in D.C. for many years and tried to not become part of what we believe, the problem is D.C. But what we always hear is that it's always the most compelling for members of Congress and senators to hear from their own constituents. So as much as it might be tempting to call Majority Leader McConnell, it's always best to start with your own representative, your own senator, and just let them know how important this issue is to you, even if they're Democrats, because it's important for them to know how many voters out there really care about these issues.
Even if you're a pro-choice Democrat, it's one thing to support someone's choice. I think you have the choice whether or not to be risky and allow a life to come into being. And once you've allowed that, I think you've lost your choice. But even if you wanted to say you're a pro-choice Democrat, it's one thing to allow someone that choice and quite another to force families who are doing all they can to put food on the table and gas in the car to fund the killing of someone else's child.
Absolutely, Tamara. And this is just the most recent scandal. We've seen Planned Parenthood being exposed, aiding and abetting sex trafficking, refusing to report child abuse, refusing to report statutory rape. They are not pro-woman. So you're exactly right. For pro-choice Democrats, can you imagine what the outcry would be if a perceived Republican stronghold or pet project was engaging in this type of human rights violation?
And I'm glad you bring that up because I'm so frustrated. I turned on the morning shows this morning just to see if the bridges were closed or what road I could take. And those national shows, all they could talk about was, whatever Hollywood star, whatever trend. There's no news on this whatsoever. No one has the guts to show what these videos are exposing. And there's another video as well, live action. We know they've been great about exposing several things as well. And that may be the topic of next week's show. I'm not sure. We may talk about sex ed. We may talk about the public schools, as many kids are sending their kids back to the public schools or the colleges. They all need your review. They all have issues. But in that video, the Planned Parenthood staffer is explaining to a 15-year-old or one who has said she's 15, bondage and asphyxiation practices and all of these type of methods that we would not consider a healthy, normal relationship coming from Planned Parenthood, again, your tax dollars. So I have the phone numbers right here. Grassley, for those of you in Iowa, get your pen and pencil. You should always know when you hear Tamara on the air, grab a pencil and pad or pen and pad and get ready. Grassley is, and then just put these on your fridge or put them in your phone so that you have them at your ready, because it only takes you 2 to 3 minutes to call, maybe less than that. They never harass you. They just want your name, your number, and what you're saying. So Grassley is 202-224-3744. 202-224-3744. Ernst, Senator Ernst, 202-224-3254. 202-224-3254. That's their individual numbers. But if you don't know who your legislator, your senator is, if you're listening from another state, here's the switchboard number. And this is the great one to have in your phone. 202-224-3121. 202-224-3121. That will get you to Senate. That will get you to House members. So you can use that and contact all of your legislative members and tell them this is an affront on all of us as Americans, that we're allowing our youngest citizens to be snuffed out in the womb with prices, literally prices on their head. This is every bit as grotesque as what we've seen out of the Holocaust. We just don't see the smokestacks out of the Planned Parenthood buildings. Colleen Holcomb has been my guest. Colleen, give him contact information for you at Eagle Forum.
Oh, thanks so much. My name is Colleen Holcomb. Our website, I'm with RNC for Life as division of Eagle Forum, but it's www.eagleforum.org. And my email address is colleen@rnclife.org. Love to hear from you.
We'll be right back after these messages. Stay tuned.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can give these grandkids back, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We can help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I'd never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars, and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Welcome back to Truth for Our Time with your host, Tamara Scott.
And thanks for joining us. I need to say thanks to our sponsors, Christians Reviving American Values Every Day, Crave, ChristiansForAmerica.com, Crave Revival, Christians Reviving American Values Every Day. And we also need to thank Webcast One Live Studios. If it weren't for Webcast One Live Studios and J. Michael McCoy making it possible, we wouldn't be able to come here today. Now, if you want to be part of that, we can always use your help partnering along with us. And you can contact Mac right here at the studios, webcastonelive.com, or you can stop into 99.3 studio. Beautiful studio. It's absolutely beautiful up here. Of course, I can't see out those windows in the studios because we have them covered over because we're a studio. But I love this is just it's just beautiful, and Mac's vision and his effort just is to be commended in bringing truth to you now here locally on 99.3, and Chris Roloff as well, managing the station, making it possible. I see on the screen. Thank you, Ryan, for that reminder. If you ever want to contact us, info@tamarascott.com, info@tamarascott.com, and we'll try and get back to you on that. Ryan can tell you I am not techie. Bless Ryan's heart. Not only is a producer and makes us look good on air, he does all the technical stuff on the website and just has it looking tremendous. And I'm the hold up when anything's not done. So my thanks to Ryan for that. Joining me now is Dr. Alveda King, and we had the honor of having her here in Des Moines last Martin Luther King Day, and just hearing from her book, King Rules. King rules just on how you basically just raise a family. And, if you raise your family well, society benefits. If the family's broken, society pays the cost. But she's been an active voice in so many issues, a voice of peace, always good word in due season. And here we are dealing with this horrific situation with Planned Parenthood being exposed. And I have several friends in the prayer movement who are praying for deeds of darkness to be exposed, secret backroom dealings to be brought forth. And I would say that is happening through these videos. But Dr. King has another perspective on it. So Dr. King, thank you so much. I know how busy you are. Thank you for taking time to join us today.
Tamara, it's wonderful to greet you and your listening audience. I remember when we first met, there was a wonderful prayer conference that you invited me to attend and to meet many of your friends and to just work with you in your community, you, your family, your husband. And so we were praying, and we are praying, and we are seeing those results. God promised, if my people who will call by my name will humble themselves and pray and turn from their wicked ways and seek my face, then I will hear from heaven and forgive their sins and heal their land. So we are seeing that. You're absolutely right. It's astounding. But listeners, I want you to hear this. Don't attribute what is happening to one event, one situation, one person, or one group of people. All of us together are like Joshua, marching around 7 times around the city of the enemy, and then the walls fell. So each of us are called to give a blow, and once that blow hits, one after the other after the other. So you are just as important. Your prayers, your activities, your actions are just as important as anything that is happening. And that is the perspective that Tamara is talking about, how important all of us working together, obeying what we're supposed to do. That is what's bringing this to pass.
Absolutely beautiful encouragement for those of you, like I said, who are either driving home from church, sitting here hearing this on the air on Sunday, or those of you who are live with us at 10 a.m. Wednesdays on Webcast One Live Studios. There is work for you to do. There's plenty of work for all of us to do, and I love Dr. King's encouragement because God may be prompting your heart. Don't wait for somebody else to pick up the slack if He's calling you to do the work. It may be you alone. He's trusting to do it. Dr. King, you alone are in a great situation to address many of these issues, and I like to confront hypocrisy when we see it, and you've done that by challenging the Black Congressional Caucus. Their silence on this issue with Planned Parenthood. First off, they should never be silent with Planned Parenthood. We know the founder, Margaret Sanger, had no love for the Black individual, for the African American. She was out to do away with, I think her quote was, and this is not my quote, this is her quote, was to do away with the Negro. Let's not tell them we want to exterminate them. Am I correct in that?
That is correct. Margaret Sanger said, colored people are like weeds. We don't want the word to get out that we want to exterminate them. So let's cultivate some of their leaders. They offered Rosa Parks the Planned Parenthood Award. My uncle, Martin Luther King Jr., he did not go to the ceremony. His wife, who was pro-choice, went. But what they did through deception is saying we want to help your community. And they helped many people be elected to office, many Black doctors, Black lawyers, Black politicians, Black business people, Black 501c3 organizations. And but it was with deception. That's why even their own name, Planned Parenthood, that sounds so innocuous, so safe. But we are seeing now through these expose videos what they really do.
Absolutely. So why is the Black Caucus being so quiet?
If you Google Planned Parenthood and Congressional Black Caucus, you see that there are awards, they're commended for things, and so you know that behind the scenes, they've been cultivated and groomed by Dr. Margaret Sanger's Federation, and is now Planned Parenthood. Margaret Sanger spoke before the Ku Klux Klan and all of that. So they're beholden, and they're in their pocket. And if you read my blog at AfricanAmericanOutreach.com, on the Concerned Black Clergy and the Congressional Black Caucus, both CBC. You will see in the cartoon there pictures of them getting the award from Planned Parenthood and then an out to lunch sign on their office door. They've been paid to look the other way.
So what can our listeners do? How can we help them step up, or at the very least call them out on their lack of response? If they're truly to protect the African American,
the gatekeeper.
Yes. So what can the rest of our listeners and viewers be doing to force them into action, or to cause the media, at the very least, to talk about it?
You have to do that for the whole congressional group, all senators, all members of the House of Representatives. It's not a black-white thing. I just happen to call out the CBC because I know some of them, and I'm an African-American woman. But this thing is so expensive that we know we need to get all members of Congress, and the ones who are speaking out now, encourage them. Let them know that you agree with what they're doing. So write to the Congressional Black Caucus, write to all the Democrats and Republicans who are in the House and Senate. Write to them, call them in your own state. Start in your own state. The media, ask them why they, out of this whole expose, several of the outlets are only given a minute, 1 minute. Why are they so silent? So you must make these demands, and then flood the internet, listen to radio shows like we're on with Tamara and Alvita today. Get a link to this show, send it to other people, make sure that it goes viral, do all of that.
I just was looking through your article, and you say the most dangerous place for a black child in New York City alone is the womb.
Absolutely. Especially if you look at New York City, the abortion rate is upside down. The death of black babies is higher than black babies who are born. And this is not uncommon across the nation. We're having tremendous success, though, in going into these communities where Planned Parenthood has targeted African-American women as underserved, poor, unfortunate women who can't get quality health care. So they entice these ladies into their facility, knowing that once they get there, it's a very lucrative experience because they're going to give her medicines and birth control shots and pills and things that will expose her to breast cancer. Then she'll go to Susan Komen, and Susan Komen exchanges money with Planned Parenthood. So the money goes back and forth between them. And if she gets pregnant, they're going to give her an abortion. And then they're going to traffic the body parts of the baby. So they make a lot of money off of black women, the underserved, off of all women. Now, make no mistake about it. Planned Parenthood's agenda is about money and eugenics. And so all of this is being exposed now.
All right. So for our people listening, the switchboard number I gave out earlier is 202-224-3121, 202-224-3121. You can call that and get your House members or your U.S. senators, and they will direct you right to their office. Leave that quick message. It'll take under a minute, under 2 minutes. Sometimes you leave your name, sometimes you don't. It is not intimidating. They just want to know if you are in their district, in fact, and what your thoughts are on whatever particular bill. Be bright, be brief, be gone. They're busy people. There's no reason to belabor the point. And certainly, like I said, be bright, be courteous when you call. Most of these people are there hoping to do the right thing, trying to do the right thing. We may have different ideas on what that is. But whether they're Republican or Democrat, don't let that enter your thinking. You're not responsible for someone's inaction or reaction, but you are responsible for your action. And it is time, my friends, it is time as Americans that we take action. There is no longer denying what this is. There's no longer denying the grotesque, as one of the Planned Parenthood staffers says, egregious activities that are taking place. Not just the dismembering and killing of our youngest Americans, but the selling, the trafficking, illegal trafficking of their body parts, the young remains of unborn children. if these videos are proven true, and we haven't heard anybody give us evidence to believe that they are not true. Dr. King, any words you want to say on the way out?
I was just listening to you, and your remarks were so insightful. I respect so much the work that you're doing and the information you're providing, giving that number for the listeners to call. I think that's very important. Tamara, we are winning. I thank God for the work that you are doing, and it is making a tremendous difference, and I'm glad to know you. You
are my kindred spirit. When we were able to meet, there was the Holy Spirit just has a way of doing that with folks. But even beyond that, sometimes there are just personality things that draw you or sometimes not draw you to people. And you and I just felt so appreciative, and I just admired the words that you were able to give in any situation. I've been able to watch you now several different times, and always good word in due season. And I am just so pleased to come alongside you. I consider you my friend, my sister in Christ, and I pray for you every time God brings you to mind. And I guess that would be a good word for our listeners as well. When God brings someone to mind that you know is out front, that you know is taking arrows, not just from the other side, but sometimes too often, from our own side, because sometimes we convict those within our own group, or sometimes they don't like somebody else having the spotlight for whatever reason. When God brings those people to mind, please pray for them. You don't even have to know what to pray. Just ask God to bless them and take care of their needs each day. Dr. Alveda King, thank you for being the voice of reason, for being the voice of peace, and for keeping all of us headed the right direction as a nation.
Thank you so much. God bless.
All right. We're going to come back here with our next guest shortly. I'm not sure if we have him online or not. Dr. David Prentice. I was able to hear him at SBA. Are we going out here, Ryan? We're closing out. We'll be right back.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing. We have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're gonna make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do. What type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
Welcome back to Truth for Our Time with your host, Tamara Scott.
I'm thankful that you're here. Thank you for staying tuned with us. I'm looking at a link that Dr. Alveda King just sent to me. She has a new song out called Pray for America. It's a single, Pray for America. And I will put it on Truth for Our Time Facebook page later, but my computer is just not coming along today. So we'll do that as soon as we can get that taken care of. And she's given us permission, Ryan, to play that song coming in and out of our show from time to time when we'd like to do that. So my thanks to her for that. It's just, what a blessing. I don't know about you. When you look around at all the headlines, and it is so ugly, and you see what we're teaching our children in school, and you hear of the harm happening. You hear of the friction in the Middle East, and we wonder why, and then we have our own friction in our own families on the holidays, so we can't really be too surprised, should we? But there's so much taking place. And then I hear the words of an Alveda King, and I hear the words of a Colleen Holcomb who's doing work in the RNC for Life. And I know from being a member of the RNC that there is a group who is holding to the foundational principles that made this republic strong and the foundational platform, the planks that make the Republican Party strong. And so you can talk about the friction and you can dwell on the negative, or you can look to the good and see what's happening and figure out what you can do to make that good happen near you, to bring about more good, because that's your call. It's not just to be here during this time. It's to do what you can to counter what's happening in this time. And so my job, getting to talk to these folks and bring you the truth. Sometimes I feel like if you go back to the Bible days, the young girl would have to take her container, her pottery, to the river and get water out to take it back to the village. That's how I feel. I will do the research. I will find the guest. I will find the information, but I will bring it to you so you have it easily and you can deal with it and take it forward and do something with it in your area. And when I hear it, it just encourages me. And so during all this negative, do understand that you should be horrified. You should be outraged. You should take action. Don't just be angered. Take action. Ryan, do you have that one quote, the one clip ready? Our next guest is online, right? Dr. Prentice is online. I'm going to come. I want to welcome him on the show, but first I'm going to play that clip. Well, no, let me go to the doctor. Let me just welcome him. Dr. Prentice, thank you so much. Dr. Prentice is with Charlotte Lozier Institute, an arm of the Susan B. Anthony organization. Susan B. Anthony does great work and had a wonderfully informative summit in D.C. earlier this year. I attend a lot of informational conferences, but I'll tell you what, being in the life movement for decades, there was information at this conference that I had not heard that was new to me, and I was very impressed. And Dr. David Prentice was part of the reason. He has decades of experience in life sciences, including stem cells, and I'm assuming we'll talk to him. It's not the stem cells that kill, it's the stem cells that heal. Cell biology, genetics, biotechnology, bioethics, and life-related research and policymaking. He also has work on human trafficking as well and the human dignity. So it is my honor to welcome him as he provides testimony to our congressional members and our state legislators and the work that he does. Thank you so much for taking time out to join us, Dr. Prentice.
Thank you so much for having me on.
I'm not exaggerating when I say I was so appreciative to hear the information you shared that day of things that you're doing. And when we get to this segment a little later, I want to talk about some of the positive things that you are doing that can happen and that doesn't have to cause death to happen.
Right.
But let's just clarify, stem cells that heal rather than stem cells that kill. You use stem cells, adult stem cells, not embryonic stem cells?
That's right, and it's important for people to understand that distinction. In fact, there are a lot of those, we'll just call them snake oil sailors, who will just say stem cells. You should support stem cells. Well, we support stem cells, but as you say, the kind that heal, not the kind that kill. Embryonic stem cells and fetal stem cells rely on the death of a young human being. There's just no getting around that. That's the source of those stem cells. And the second fact your listeners need to know is embryonic stem cells, there's no proof that they have helped a single human being.
Right. And I used
Let's switch to the good side, the adult stem cells. And in point of fact, umbilical cord blood is really a type of adult stem cell. Pretty much anything from birth onward, you have them. A lot of your listeners have heard about, or maybe even some have had, a bone marrow transplant. Those are adult stem cells. And there are just a tremendous number of these out there. In fact, I like to quote a recent scientific paper published that talked about over 1 million people already treated with adult stem cells.
This is wonderful news. Of course, I don't know that we're hearing this in the medical arena or in the media. And when we do, they do not define the difference between the embryonic or fetal versus the adult. And I want to talk about some of the positive things that are happening, but let's play, if you don't mind, let's play that clip, Ryan. Let's start we are playing, what this is the Planned Parenthood. This is the third video that's come out now, and I believe there are more, but this is the third video that's come out, and it's Holly O'Donnell, who took a job with a clinic, and she thought she would be drawing blood samples and procuring specimens. Ryan, we're going to start at 7:27. Listen, 2 minutes.
So I remember my first day, I was at the Concord Clinic, and it was very early in the morning. I was with one of my trainers, and I walk in, I meet the staff, and I look over in the corner, and there's a little light tray with pie dishes on it. I'm like, okay. And then I see someone come in with a bottle of something, and there was blood in it. I'm like, okay. And then they went over to the sink, and they emptied it out in a strainer and put it on the pie dish and lit it up. And I'm like looking like, what's going on? And my trainer comes over, and she puts on gloves, and she grabs some tweezers, and she's picking the parts away from the vaginal tissue. And I've never had anxiety before this at all. So I'm looking, and I don't know what's going on. I had no idea this was what was going to be happening, especially my first day. And she has tweezers, and she's like, okay, well, this is a head, this is the arm, this is a leg. And then she hands them over. She's like, oh, here you go. Can you show me some of the parts I just showed you? And I grabbed the tweezers. I'm like, because I didn't want to lose this job. I didn't know. I was already stoked to get it. So I did what she said. And the moment I took the tweezers, I put them in the dish. And I remember grabbing a leg, and I said, this is a leg. And the moment I picked it up, I could just feel like death and pain. Like, I've never felt that before, like shoot up through my body. And I blacked out, basically. They got the smelling salt. I woke up in the recovery room and looking around, I was really embarrassed, who faints to their first job. And when nurses looks at me, it's like, oh, you're new, huh? I'm like, yeah, don't worry, it still happens to a bunch of us. I'm like, really? It's like, yeah, some of us don't ever get over it.
Some of us don't ever get over it. Dr. Prentice, it doesn't have to be like this. There is no reason. You are in research. We do not have to be if we did research on a baby that had passed away, a miscarriage, that's one thing. But elective abortions and then putting a price on their head, is there any medical reason to do this?
No. The short, flat answer is no. And of course, we've heard the apologists for Planned Parenthood talk about all of the wonderful, almost humanitarian benefits of fetal tissue and fetal stem cells, and they'll talk about potentially, that's an important word to listen for, potentially treating all sorts of diseases, almost every malady known to man. But the real truth is they haven't really helped very many people at all. They'll talk about vaccines and all of the great wonders of that developed using fetal tissue. And there's a tiny raisin in that great big pudding, and that is that, yes, originally way back in the 1940s and 50s and 60s, that was about the only thing they had. And they did originally grow poliovirus in some fetal tissue, but in point of fact, that's rarely done anymore, and there's no need whatsoever for any new fetal tissue, any reliance on more deaths. The point of this is that there are ethical and successful alternatives. I mean, I mentioned before over 1 million people, not lab mice, people that have been successfully treated with adult stem cells from bone marrow and umbilical cord blood and so on. That number actually was passed back in 2012, so we're beyond the 1 million mark now.
Okay.
And you could probably count on your hand the number of people who have actually benefited from fetal tissue or embryonic stem cells.
And we've got to go to a break right here, but we're going to come back, and I'm going to allow you to just share with us all the positives that have happened after we come back with these messages.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids? Yeah!
If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I had never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars, and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Welcome back to Truth for Our Time with your host, Tamara Scott.
Samples we could have taken out of the 11.6, so that would be, you know, if we were doing like, 50 to 75 per specimen, that would be like 200, 300, right? And we'd be comfortable with that. But like, so it's like stuff like this, like we don't want to be like just a flat fee of like 200, and then, it's like.
No, and I think the per item thing works a little better just because we can see how much we can get out of it.
It's really just about if anyone were ever to ask them, well, what do you do for this $60? How can you justify that? Or are you basically just doing something completely egregious that you should be doing for free? I think for
okay, right there, Ryan. Thank you. What you just heard was more from that video from Planned Parenthood, and what they were discussing were specimens, the price on the head. You heard the doctor or the female in the lab say, "This is why we need to charge per part." You really don't want to just charge one sum. You want to charge per part so we can see how much we can get out of it. And then you heard the other staffer at one of the lunches say, how do you justify $60? Are we doing something completely egregious for free? So, Dr. Prentice, our next break is at 55 past the hour, and I'm just going to turn this to you in your field. What your thoughts on this, and then if I want you to take us to the positives that are happening.
Great, and let's just flat out say there is nothing that they claim can be done with these fetal organs and fetal cells that could not be done, and probably done better, and certainly done ethically with adult stem cells, including umbilical cord blood and other types of cells, but all derived without relying on the painful death of a young human being. There is no positive, no humanitarian benefit that can come out of this death of a young person. So let's talk about those positives, as you say, and I mean, there's so many, it's hard to know where to start, but let me start with one, and also mention a website your listeners might want to go to. It's stemcellresearchfacts.org, and it discusses adult stem cells, the ethical and successful type of stem cell, and actually what we've done is just to try and educate people about the success of this ethical adult stem cell. We've put videos up of patients who have been treated and healed, even their lives saved by adult stem cells. The most recent one we put up is a young man named Paul Wagle. Paul was diagnosed with severe leukemia when he was about 10 years old. They tried the typical chemotherapy. He briefly went into remission. He came back out. He, as his parents said, stared death in the face. And the doctors offered him adult stem cell therapy. In this case, the cells came from a donated umbilical cord blood. So after the baby's born, cut the cord. Instead of throwing it away, they kept the blood, just a small amount, a couple of tablespoons worth, inside this umbilical cord. They matched it up with Paul. Paul received this, essentially a transfusion of these adult stem cells from the umbilical cord blood. He, number one, no longer had leukemia after that treatment. He built a whole new blood and immune system without the leukemia. He went on to do a triple major in college because he was so enthused by his own survival with the adult stem cells, and then decided after college that he could further the truth by becoming a priest, and he's studying to be a priest now. But his life was saved by adult stem cells. There are cases on the website where we talk about people treated for heart damage after a heart attack. They've been treating spinal cord injury. We've got a video of a young lady up there treated. Now, in many cases, it's still experimental, but here are successful examples of stem cells and tissues being used to treat dozens of different diseases and injuries, all without relying on the destruction of another life.
That's right.
Some other examples that we've seen lately: sickle cell anemia, terrible disease, can be fatal. We've got a video on that website, stemcellresearchfacts.org, that discusses the life-saving ability of adult stem cells for sickle cell anemia. Usually in the past, they have been employing this just with children. Now they've started to use it more and more with adults, and they can do it in such a way that whether a child or an adult, they don't need any of these anti-rejection drugs you would usually have after an organ transplant. They can just go on, live life normally, without any problem. They've started to look at using adult stem cells to treat various breathing problems. They've actually isolated lung adult stem cells. They've been able to grow new corneas to restore sight to blind patients. So someone might have had some sort of chemical burn or something, be totally blind because the cornea has been damaged. They can grow even from that damaged eye. At the edge are some adult stem cells that can be taken out and grown into a brand new cornea, put on, and there are cases where people that have been blind for 50 years
Dr. David
now
Prentice,
see clearly.
thank you so much. I told you folks there would be so many positives. We're out of time. I wish we had more time. I hope you'll come back again. Dr. David Prentice is with us from Charlotte Lozier Institute. Those are the positives. That's just a few. Don't be apologetic about standing for life. Be encouraged and never be complacent.